All right, so summer's starting, like we're getting our first beach visits in, our first park, our first all day in the sun. Weather's coming. How would you describe your skin when it comes to like receiving the sun? Like what's your process? How does your skin react to the sun?
Like burning wise?
Yeah, so for example, yesterday we went to the beach with your cousin, Nicoletta, and she has like olive oil skin. Like she has that skin that just becomes like a perfect tan, like on day one. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like how do you get your perfect tan?
I feel like it's changed throughout the years. Like I think I'm a lot more like prone to getting sunburn. But I feel like once like the base burn. Like I have to get that base burn first. Right. But I don't think it really matters anymore to get the base burn. I just put a lot of suntan lotion on now, and I'll just generally get darker instead of getting. Well, I will get red if I don't put it like on correctly, but I feel like I'll just generally get like a little tan every so often that I'm in the sun.
I got you. Because like I would say, because I can't help but like connect it to my nationality in some ways. My sister, she definitely has more of like the Puerto Rican Ecuadorian tanning, because like she has that same sort of way to get tan right away.
Yeah.
But I definitely have more of like, I have a hybrid Irish, Norwegian, Puerto Rican.
White skin.
Yeah, like I definitely will get burnt. But if I pace it out and like, for me, it's a marathon, not a sprint. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like you put on the sunscreen, you apply every time, and then by the end of the summer, I look sun-kissed. But it's not a one-day thing.
You're like, by the end of the summer, then I get the tan.
I'm there.
Yeah. I think I can generally get it easier than I think most. Yeah. I think that's like my Sicilian skin, but I could also get really burned. It could go either way. Like it really could go either way.
So it's like you're bipolar. You do still have hybrid skin, but it's either one or the other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think like growing up, when you're a kid, you just like want to bake in the sun because you just want to be tan. And then you get older and like all of like the skin conditions and like you're like it dramatically ages you, which is like way more important when you get older. So I'll just like slab the like sunscreen on now.
Yeah, like I definitely...
Which I should have been doing in my 20s.
Forever. Yeah, you always should wear sunscreen, yeah.
Yeah, that's important. 100%. Hi everyone, I'm Melanie.
And I'm Diana.
And we're two queens in a
podcast. And we are two queens from Queens, giving you the Queen's perspective. And today, we are going to Lincoln Center for the Performing Arts.
Yeah, I didn't know the history of this, and then it got dark real quick, which I should have thought that shouldn't have been surprising to me,
Yeah, it's giving me like Central Park vibes. Jigs. Yes, it's definitely a parallel. But I'm going to start it off. I'll just give a quick summary and just lay it all down. So it's known as Lincoln Center. It's located on the Upper West Side of Manhattan. It's a 16.3-acre campus that consists of 11 resident arts organizations, not limited to the Chamber Music Society, the Juilliard School, the Metropolitan Opera, New York City Ballet, New York Philharmonic, the New York Public Library for the Performing Arts, and the School of American Ballet. It houses over 20 performing arts spaces, anywhere from small and intimate to large and grandiose. The current president is Henry Timms, but the first president ever was John D. Rockefeller III. Family was not very creative with the names. He later became its chairperson in 1961, and he was known for raising over $184 million to get the building built. And now, if you know anything about Lincoln Center, you could kind of paint that picture of the fountain and those three buildings. Those are the first buildings that existed in Lincoln Center. The first one was built in 1962, the Avery Fisher Hall, now known as David Geffen Hall. Then comes the New York State Theater, which is now known as David H. Koch, and it was born. We'll get it like symbolic. There was born in 1964, along with the Revson Fountain. And then that final building that was built right smack in the center is the Metropolitan Opera that was built in 1966. But now we got to backpedal. And I think you and I should start painting the picture of the names, faces, and projects circulating John D. Rockefeller and really how Lincoln Center came to be the dark past. So what did you get, girl?
The dark past.
Yeah. the dark past. What did you got? Like what? You got to hinted to it in our opener. But.
I only know about San Juan Hill. I don't know about his other projects.
I was just saying, like, Rockefeller, along with all the people.
Is this the same Rockefeller that's like Rockefeller Center? Is that like the same family or no?
Yeah.
Oh, these are all the same people.
Yeah, I can't tell you who is responsible for Rockefeller's. I don't know which Rockefeller. This one's the third. John D. Rockefeller the third. Mm-hmm. So I don't know what the first and the second did. I'm sure some had to do with steel and the railroad. I don't know, but
yeah.
We probably could just do a whole episode on the Rockefellers.
Nah, I don't think we're right. They don't need more clout than they need. You know what I mean? Good. I think they're all right.
If they sneak their way in, then
I think they're okay.
Then they get enough recognition.
Yeah.
But yeah. What do you got about San Juan Hill?
Okay, so San Juan Hill was a vibrant Black and Afro-Caribbean neighborhood on Manhattan's west side. So basically where Lincoln Center is located, it was like, I don't know if it was like smack dab in the middle, but like whatever blocks, it took over like, there was like maybe I think like 7 or 8 blocks of like what this like San Juan Hill
it was a massive
apartment
area.
Complex was.
Yeah.
And
like where present day Lincoln Towers, Fordham University, and Lincoln Center are, that entire space was San Juan Hill.
Part of it.
Okay.
Yeah, like there is still part that, was originally
maybe undeveloped. Yeah.
So this was a neighborhood that was, rich in culture, contributed to early jazz. There was a lot of people who came from there that, developed a lot of historical moments of like art and music.
Yeah.
And when in the 1950s, the area was demolished due to our favorite person, who's not our favorite person. That's
our controversial character. That's sarcasm.
That's sarcasm if you can't catch it. Robert Moses' urban renewal plan. So this was basically his idea of updating New York City, but it was displacing all of these like underprivileged housing units,
or basically non-white, really, because they were vibrant, they were thriving in their own right, but like outside of the kind of closed-minded way that the people in power saw what success was. You know what I mean?
It's actually really interesting because I don't know if what you read about, but this planning unit, what he had was, it would be like a map of New York City, let's say, a map of New York City.
Yeah.
And he would redline communities that were falling apart, or like in his eyes falling apart.
Yeah.
And to his credit, they were falling apart. They weren't great neighborhoods. And the reason they weren't great neighborhoods was because people were getting paid off not to clean these neighborhoods. They were not getting cleaned. If there was landowners or landlords that would apply for loans, they would be denied in these neighborhoods to clean up the housing departments. Yeah. So they were purposely being destroyed. They were purposely being underdeveloped so that Robert Moses could put them in a red line, aka
so it's like setting them up for failure. They were essentially
100%.
saying like,
they were 100% set up for failure, and San Juan Hill was one of those places.
Yeah,
and there's multiple places that this happened to, but this was, since we're talking about Lincoln Center, this is the reason that it was able to be knocked down, was because it was redlined in his plan.
Right, and this story in a nutshell is exactly what we say is how he's a controversial character. Because like you could be like, oh, he gave us the beaches and he gave us this and he gave us the roads, but then at what expense? At the expense of ignoring communities that could be thriving if federal funding was just given to them.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And interestingly enough, I mean, to jump around a little bit, I do think Lincoln Center, present day, has acknowledged how they have not, like, how they resurrected and why they exist, and that San Juan Hill was this beautiful community that had, like, ragtime artists, jazz artists, like... And so what they do is they actually have a, whatchamacallit, they have an initiative called, like, where the hell is it? I have my notes. Now I can't find them.
Do you have it on the table over there? Because there's one of your cards there.
No.
Well, just to like point you out before you try and find this, roughly 7,000 families, almost 30,000 people were replaced to create Lincoln Center. So that's a lot of displaced. They replaced them with buildings.
That's true. Yeah, they were completely.
They replaced human beings with buildings. But yeah, so it's interesting because they say that where San Juan Hill is, it was inspired, like West Side Story was inspired by San Juan Hill. And
it's so interesting because, like, okay, I grew up
and even filmed there.
Certain areas was
used in that film, yeah.
Right. So what I
love West Side
always
Story.
found, like, I loved West Side Story, and so when I watched the first one, there was literally no allusion to Lincoln Center and how that neighborhood, while, you know, the Sharks and the Jets were fighting with each other, that actually all of them, instead of fighting with each other, they should have been fighting with the government and Robert Moses, because they were in the same boat in the sense that they were all going to be displaced. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I think that they said that there was a line in the new West Side Story that says, I don't know who says it, but they say, it doesn't matter who wins the turf, you won't be here in the future.
1,000%.
Like, and even if the Sharks or the Jets won, like, you're not staying here.
Right.
Because it's been decided.
Like, the true enemy. It's like the whole point of it is that you all have so much in common because you all are gonna, you better say bye to your homes. Because, like, why are you even fighting with each other, you know?
So how you were saying before that Lincoln Center has acknowledged San Juan Hill, there is now, it just was 2 months ago that they're doing a whole campus redesign. It's a part of this $335 million renovation where Lincoln Center is literally opening up the west side by transforming the dense Amsterdam Avenue edge. So they had created this huge wall to separate Amsterdam Avenue, which was the apartment complexes that were not, like how I said, only some of them were knocked down. There were some that remained. Yeah. They created this huge wall because they didn't want people to see that side of, you know, like this was elite Lincoln Center. So they're tearing down that wall. They're building a huge park there, like an open stadium. And they're really dedicating and acknowledging the displaced community that they displaced.
Yeah, exactly. And
so they are, like you're saying, acknowledging it, but that's only like they say that they only been acknowledging it for a couple of years.
Very recently.
Yeah, like very recent.
This is all very recent. And the initiative that what I was trying to find was that they're starting. This is probably piggybacking. It's very much in line with what you were just saying. They have the Legacies of San Juan initiative, which is created to uplift the complex history of the communities and the legacies of that community and those artists. And so what they're doing is they have a digital hub of artists, historians, journalists that represent that community that was displaced, and they welcome people who have a personal connection to that community to reach out to them and give them information so that that history is not ignored. So they're a little late, but it's nice to see.
And I know we talked about a lot of the bad that kind of started with Lincoln Center, but there was a lot of good that they did for the community as well. They had a lot of like subsidized ticketing, so a lot of these people who probably couldn't afford tickets to go see shows and operas were able to get it for a cheaper price. So there were a lot of minorities that were able to go see shows at Lincoln Center. So I thought that was pretty interesting too. It's not like they just excluded and just like had a bunch of like rich white people going.
Yeah,
I'm sure they had that too, but there was
they want to widen their demographic.
Yes,
and
they did.
Yeah, and they have this initiative.
I meant in the past. Like in the past, they did that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and I mean, just an example of how they're doing it till this day is they have this initiative called like 30 under 30. They want to
sign up for that.
You did sign up for it? How?
Because it was like 35 under 35. At least now it is. They like up the ante.
And they
like,
did?
Oh, great. Yeah.
Because essentially what they're saying is a lot of their audience are older folks, and they really want a
new generation
to be
people to don't live forever.
Right.
Spoiler alert.
Right, and they want to widen their audience. They want people to appreciate. They want patrons of the art to span not just like 80 and above or 60 and above. They want younger folks coming. But yeah, that kind of takes care of like the prequel and then kind of how it is now. Do you have any other little fun facts you want to... Actually, going to Rockefeller, if we got to pack that a little bit.
Yeah.
So because of the Great Depression, it sort of changed the trajectory of where Lincoln Center is. Did you know that Lincoln Center was actually supposed to be initially where Rockefeller Center is?
No, I didn't know that.
Isn't that interesting?
The Rockefeller Center was built first.
Right. And the Great Depression, like, derailed. Actually, I don't know when it was built. It was. You know that. I don't know.
Yes, because remember the Rockefeller tree was
in the 30s created
the Great
Depression.
When they, like, the workers put the tree up.
Yeah.
And that was, like, during the Great Depression. So,
Great connection there.
You gotta connect the other episodes. We are learning something, I guess.
I love this.
Good for us.
Yeah, so certain plans came about where they were like, no, we can't fund this here. And it got pushed back even 20 years, as we know. It didn't get built until, like, the 60s. And so I just imagine Lincoln Center was where Rockefeller Center is. Like, what a weird alternate reality. I mean, we would have just gotten used to it, but
it would have been what it is.
Right. Just would have been swapped.
Well, I love Lincoln Center. I love that area over there, and they have across the street from Lincoln Center is like the AMC that's like so big. Yeah. And I just have memories of being at that AMC when I was a kid because they have the
IMAX.
Huge IMAX, and you would see like the documentary movies when you were a kid. Like that would be your field trip. And then when I got older, I would just go to see regular movies, and that is still my favorite theater of all time.
Yeah, I remember as a kid.
Movie theater, of all time.
Same thing, like, you know, we would always go to the movies, but it was a really big deal if you went into the city and watched the IMAX. I remember, like, maybe my 4th grade birthday party, I, like, brought my friends, and it was, like, me and, like, 3 of my friends and my mom, and, like, we went and saw the IMAX and took pictures by Lincoln Center, by the fountain, you know, it was, like, a whole thing.
Yeah.
But I got some information which I thought was pretty interesting. Wouldn't you say in some ways the architecture of Lincoln Center isn't like that cohesive? Like each building kind of has a different look.
Yeah.
And that's because it wasn't just one architect that had his hand in the building of it.
So were all these buildings made at the same time? Well, like where the fountain is and then the surrounding buildings. But like you said, there's 11 centers. Were they all created at the same time, or they were just generally built
over time?
Over time.
Yeah. So it's actually not 11 buildings necessarily, but it's 11 institutions. Okay, so 11 arts organizations function there. And they expanded over time. But like those first ones are the ones you kind of know.
Where did we go to see Swan Lake?
That was at the Metropolitan Opera.
The Metropolitan Opera, okay.
Yeah, yeah. And an interesting fact about the Metropolitan Opera, you know those like 5 massive arches? Mm-hmm. Those are 9 stories high. So you could fit like 9 floors on that.
That's what 9 stories is,
I know, but like just to paint the picture, you know, you could have like 9 apartments up on there, but instead it's just these big windows. And throughout any renovation or like redesigning of Lincoln Center, those always have just stayed how they are. And there's actually 2 ginormous paintings that were commissioned. If you could picture it, like if you're picturing the 5, imagine the last 2 or the last 2.5 on each side. There's 2 like massive paintings there. Mm-hmm. And they were commissioned. They were made purposely just for Lincoln Center. And they're 2 expressionistic murals by Marc Chagall. One is called The Source of Music, and the other is called Triumph of Music. They're 10 meters high, and they're custom made. And it kind of, I don't know, I think that's amazing. Like, how do you paint something that big?
I don't know, ask Michelangelo.
Right.
You know?
But, like, he was upwards, like, down.
He didn't paint, he only painted ceilings? He wasn't just painting regular paintings?
I'm talking about grand scale. Maybe he did, but, like, do you think they harnessed over and, like, someone harnessed them over? Like you know, like...
are we still talking about ceilings, or we're talking about walls?
So, I didn't bring up Michelangelo. I just thought about it because it was a grand picture, and it made me think of the Sistine Chapel when you brought it up. Bringing it back to Marc Chagall, the guy who made them, those are on a wall.
Yeah, okay.
And, like, they're massive. They're, like, 9 apartment buildings high. How do you paint that? Like, what are the mechanics?
You split it up into, like, portions, and then you just paint it. It's like a mural. Like, you painted it like that.
I guess so.
Yeah. I don't think it's... I know it's hard. I'm not saying it's not hard.
Right.
But that's his job. You know what I mean?
It's true, yeah. He's not the only one to do it.
It's not like you're going and doing it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah, exactly. If you task me, I'd be like, how is this possible? These artists, this is their job. They know what they're doing.
When we were just talking about, because Juilliard School is there, and I feel like me and you grew up in a generation where we had so many rom-com movies that centered around Juilliard and dancing, like, what's the
Center
dance?
Stage.
No, the one with Julia Stiles. And she does, like, the urban dance and gets in. And, like, her mom dies when she's, like, going to the Juilliard competition. So it, like, gives her PTSD.
Damn, why can't I think of that one?
Is it, like, how to save the last dance?
There you go. How to save the last dance.
How to save a
Step
life.
1. Don't you remember watching that and being like, wow, like, she's such a good dancer. And then you watch it now and you're like, that was questionable.
And then, like, Step Up. Like, we had, like, so many dance movies when we were growing up that, like, Juilliard was, like, the biggest thing. Like, I feel like I just remember hearing Juilliard and was like, whoa, like, that's crazy.
And Center Stage, going back to, you remember Center Stage? Yeah.
That
one was filmed at
the New York
Lincoln
Ballet.
Center.
It wasn't like they weren't at Juilliard, right? They were, like, in the dance program, in the dance company. That's what I meant to say.
Yeah, that was, it was circling around the School of American Ballet.
Yeah.
And
like Black Swan was like one of my favorite movies. That was like all Lincoln Center.
Yeah. Very cool.
Good stuff.
Wait, but I remember something I was going to bring up about the architecture.
Okay. Oh, again? Jeez Louise. Can we move on?
I wanted to. I thought it was interesting.
Okay, go ahead.
So the guy, Wallace Harrison.
He was the guy with the mural again?
No.
Different guy.
Yeah. So going back to just the full architecture of those first 3 buildings, he had 44 different designs that he had to decide from. So imagine like making 44 different like possible realities for Lincoln Center. And he had to pick from one of them. And the reason why there were so many is that he and 2 other architects were like all trying to get it done together.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
So was it like too many cooks in the kitchen kind of thing?
That's what it felt like, you know? And so what happens is like he was collaborating with this guy, Philip Johnson, and Eero Saarinen. And the final thing was just like a combination of all of them. They finally settled on all of it, but I'm really glad they kind of got it together because I like the non-uniformity of it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like I like that the Metropolitan Opera has that grander look, and then the other ones are a bit smaller and lower to the ground. Like it just, I think things are better when there's, it might be harder, but I think like when there's more brains, things end up looking a bit more unique and different.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So that's my architect spiel. I'm done. Okay. We can talk about Center Stage, talk about whatever you want.
So we went last year to see Swan Lake. I've never seen it. I know the jits. I know the is that it? What's like the most famous one? Yes, that. Yeah. I know that, whatever. So we were watching it, and the first part, like this woman is like getting attacked by something, or it looks like she's getting attacked.
It looked like a goose. It looked like a stuffed animal.
Something's getting attacked, right? And you can't talk to each other during the show. So it gets to like the intermission. And I'm like, what was that goose that was attacking her? And you're like, that was a swan.
It's called Swan Lake.
Like, oh, it checks out.
They use the stuffed animal swan to sort of show how
she's
the witch turned the swan into... No, sorry, the human, the princess into a swan. Yeah. But I mean, we got to go to the Metropolitan Opera. Beautiful. I mean... I've actually been able to go there once before, or maybe twice. I saw the Nutcracker there.
Okay.
And then I also saw, I don't want to get it wrong, but I think it's called Madame Butterfly. And I saw an opera there once. Have you ever seen an opera?
No, I've never seen an opera.
I would recommend it because, like, you know, I'm always impressed when I go
we used to have a friend that would sing opera, like, in high school. As like
fake opera.
Yeah,
she wasn't trained.
I feel like I'd seen what I needed. She was actually pretty good.
No. You did not see what you needed to see.
I think I saw what I needed to see when she was fake opera singing at the lunch table.
All right, if I could just add a little bit to like the amazingness of it, because like I was always like, I don't know about this. It might be kind of boring. Mm-hmm. But you know, you go to a Broadway show and they're mic'd up, and you're sort of taken aback about how beautifully they sing and how amazing that is. You go to an opera and just imagine yourself sitting in that opera house. They are not mic'd. They are just singing from like the bottom of their diaphragm. And you're like, there's this moment where you're like, this is what they did before the technology of the microphone. Like you had to work to build that diaphragm up to like project. And I thought that was just amazing. I got chills just thinking about how how strong their voices are.
Okay,
you
all right,
know?
that checks out.
I would say just do it to experience that.
Yeah.
Like, imagine your voice filling up a whole opera house.
No.
Yeah.
I'm not that loud.
Yeah. I might be able to. I can get pretty loud. No, we're both
But
pretty
you would,
loud.
like, lose your voice really. You would be, like, on vocal rest, like, every other show.
All the time.
Yeah, like, you would miss so many shows.
No, I know. I would be like once a month. I could make
once a month.
That's it. Then I'm tapping out.
You have 12 performances a year.
Oh, yeah. But one funny thing, did you get in at all to the background behind who Lincoln is and who it's named after?
No.
So this is really interesting.
It's not named after President Lincoln.
Maybe.
Oh, okay. So they don't even know.
It's all very confusing.
Yeah.
But that whole area, and I think this is what you were talking about earlier, about like San Juan Hill was one neighborhood, which was part of a larger neighborhood, and that was Lincoln Square.
Okay.
And before it was Lincoln Square, it was called Empire Square. That changed in 1906. But 1906, I don't know what happened with these records. They don't specify what Lincoln they're naming it after. And there's some speculation. Records don't explicitly say who it was named after, and it was possibly named after Abraham Lincoln, or possibly named after...
wouldn't it be named after Abraham Lincoln? He got shot in the Opera House.
Ooh. I think that's an even more proof that it is Abraham Lincoln.
I think so too. And Eisenhower, the president at the time, was there for the groundbreaking when they created it. And he was like one of the only presidents to show at a cultural institution opening.
Could be.
And he's a president. So
It
like
does
they were
check
named
out.
after a president.
Okay.
I'm going to go with Abraham
You're
Lincoln.
going, okay, because
Yeah,
the
for
other
win.
option is a local landowner. Probably
No,
not.
no,
Yeah.
no.
But going to your point, I think this is very interesting. Talk about petty. There's some who speculate that the omission of Abraham Lincoln, or the lack of info that it was named after the president, stems from who the mayor was at the time. The mayor at the time, his name was George B. McClellan Jr.
All right, why does this have to do with this guy?
His father, right, was
Lincoln's
one of...
lover.
Ooh, that would be fun. But no. It was actually Lincoln's Civil War rival. So his dad was a rival of Abraham Lincoln, and then that's why people might speculate that mayor was like...
this guy a rival of Abraham Lincoln, but he's the mayor of New York, which is like one of the most northern state towns. Like, there wasn't Confederate people living in New York. How did that guy, the son, end up in New York as the mayor?
I don't know. I'm not sure why they were rivals, but they just, like, butt heads about something.
Okay, like, he wasn't, like, a rival as in, like, he believed in, like, slavery. He just didn't like the guy.
I just wrote down they were rivals.
All right,
so I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know what it's rooted. I don't know what their rivalry was rooted in.
Okay.
But they just didn't get along. I
Got
can't tell you why. But it kind of checks out that the son of Lincoln's rival was like, I'm not even letting people know that we named it after you. You know?
But yeah, I guess so. But I feel like a lot of people liked Lincoln. Like, I could see a son being like, I hate my dad, so like I'm gonna name it after Lincoln, you know?
But then wouldn't he have been like promoting the fact? I think he liked his dad.
I don't think, like, Lincoln, just the word Lincoln, not Abraham Lincoln, has, like, meaning. Like, I'm like, oh, that's the President Lincoln, you know? Like, you're not, I'm not going to be like, oh, Lincoln who? Who's that?
Right.
You know?
Yeah. No, like, whenever they're, I agree. But I think it's interesting why, you know.
Okay. Mystery.
Like Linkin Park, the band. They didn't name that after Abraham. That's with a K. I switched up the spelling.
Not the same Lincoln.
That's
Lincoln. Lincoln Park.
No, it's still Likin.
Lincoln.
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't name it.
No. But maybe what I think Linkin Park named it after a park by them, and that park was named after Lincoln.
Okay, all right.
Could be. So everything leads back. All roads lead to Lincoln. Going back to your
shot
point.
in the Opera House, and that was why the Opera House was called Lincoln.
Right. And then him being like, such a figure when it came to ending slavery and making the United States what it is today in terms of, not awful.
Yeah, but I love Lincoln Center. They do a lot of cool events during the summer. I remember as I was
for the city program specifically.
As I was going to the movie theaters all the time in Lincoln Center, I was coming out of a movie one time and they had this like whole big stage with this huge disco ball and all these lights and everyone was dancing and it was like a dance party that they would hold like every Wednesday night or something like that.
In the summer.
Yeah.
And it's all part of their Summer for the City program, which goes back to your point of wanting to make Lincoln Center and the arts more accessible to all people of like all socioeconomic classes. And so, like you were saying, they have like silent disco, they have dance performances, music performances for
dance
kids.
Lessons.
Yeah, Mel and I tomorrow, we're actually going to, maybe not tomorrow, Wednesday, we're going to be going to like a women in comedy performance, which I'm really excited about. There's always something going on there. And actually, I don't know how long this episode's running, but I wanted to just bring up one other thing.
All right.
Sorry, I just can't stop. So if
is it about architecture?
No.
Okay,
No, I promise I'm done with architecture. If you're watching us on Spotify, I have my New York City Ballet T-shirt on.
Yeah.
And so I was always so confused about whose home Lincoln Center was. Was it American Ballet Theater, ABT, or was it New York City Ballet? And the answer is that it's New York City Ballet.
All right.
And
Good thing we cleared that up.
I know. And then I always was confused, too, about the School of American Ballet. Wouldn't you think that the School of American Ballet is the School of American Ballet Theater?
I would check out.
That would,
okay.
But no. On the contrary, my friend. It's actually the School for New York City Ballet.
Wow.
And American Ballet Theater, they actually don't technically have a home. They say that like their home is America and that they go on tour and blah, blah, blah. But they do have a school that's in New York City. It's actually part of the public school system in some ways. It's like the Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis School for American Ballet Theater.
Oh, is it kind of like a specialized school? Okay.
Yeah, and I have a funny story. When did you? I know we talked about how we both did the co-ops that we were applying mainly for parochial, like Catholic high school. Mm-hmm. Did you just like because your guidance counselor told you to? Did you apply for public schools as well?
I applied for Frank Sinatra, which you had to do. If you went for theater, you had to do a monologue to get in. If you were art, you had to submit an art piece. And then I think if you did singing and dancing, it was the same thing. Like you had to
audition.
Do an audition, right? Yeah. I applied for the art program and got into the art program.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I didn't go. That was like so. I know. Some other person took my spot and is probably doing amazing.
Good for them. Well, like I remember. For, like, not knowing what to pick. And I came across this Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis school. And I was like, oh, let me just apply to that. I was like...
Did they call you for an audition?
No, I didn't audition or anything. They probably looked at it was like, this idiot didn't know. Like, you have to, like, train really hard to even audition to be part of, like, the American Ballet Theater School. So, I just had a really fun little connection in my own brain about New York City Ballet versus American Ballet Theater and all of that stuff.
I'm surprised you didn't apply for like a dance specialized school.
So I know I don't like regrets because I love my life. I love where I'm at. But that is something I do regret. When I was like, I would say in 6th or 7th grade, I was like, I quit dance. I had like my angsty teenager stage. Mm-hmm. And so I didn't train 7th or 8th grade. And it wasn't until freshman year in high school where I realized I wanted to dance again, and that's when I started taking dance classes again. Okay. So, like, I quit on the prime ages to really be into it and to really invest in my time in applying to those schools. But, yeah, missed opportunities. What are you going to do?
I think my sister tried to do one, and it was, like, really hard. You not only had to be, like, specialized in a certain dance, like say you're really good at like interpretive dance, right? Like you're like phenomenal. Yeah, like you had dance. You had to also know a little ballet. You had to also know a little jazz. You had to know about like African dance. I think she needed to do like audition for all of these things, and not even like that you like were great at it, but if you showed promise in that category, it was like really hard.
I even think because I remember kids at my dance studio went to Frank Sinatra, and they were even doing like point. And point, if y'all don't know, is like it's not just flat ballet slippers. Like you have to go up on your toes and like ruin your feet and like balance on these wooden blocks or these like hollow wooden block shoes. So yeah, you do kind of have to be like a Renaissance dancer in terms of.
I feel like we're very similar in the way of how we wanted our like arts to go, like your dance and like my like art. I didn't like people telling me what to draw. Like I didn't like the semantics of learning techniques. I just wanted to draw when I wanted to draw and color when I wanted to color. Like I didn't want someone to give me it took the fun out of art, like doing what I like to do. And I feel like that's kind of similar to you. Like, you're angsty, I don't want to dance. Like, if somebody's telling you how to dance or, like, techniques you should use, you're kind of like, you're disinterested. Like, it made me lose the passion that I felt.
Yeah, I think if I was enrolled in the right kind of classes where, like, maybe you taught me some dance technique, but ultimately you let me kind of choreograph and create my own thing, I would have been more invested. But the classes I were enrolled in, you was like, point, tendu.
Yeah.
Coupe,
and that all has a reason. Like, there's all a reason for learning all of those things, because you develop your own, unique style. And I think people who go through and really, learn all these different techniques just have like this incredible great passion for it that I just don't think that I had.
Yeah. I just wanted to break from the technique too early. Yeah. Like, I was a little too rambunctious, so my brain was a little too like get out of the regiment, and I could have benefited more from listening to my teachers. But you know what, it is what it is. I have my little dance practice and I dance how I want, so that's fun.
And that's it. and that's it.
And look, we're still here.
We're still here.
Successful
doing
podcasters.
Some good stuff. This is our life now, okay? We chose it. We're here. Get used to it.
And we're improvising, all right? You can't tell us what to do.
And that's that.
And thanks for listening to us doing what we want to do.
Center, and go and enjoy it. And if you're under 35, under 35, go see a show. It's not for the elite people anymore,
Yeah, if you want to go see art, you go see art, okay?
Yeah, and if you want to do art, do art.
Yeah, the way you want to do it.
The way you want to do it.
But maybe listen to your teachers a little bit before.
A little bit.
All right, thanks, guys. Bye.